Hey folks, it's Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request this time for Vonte. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under most of these videos. It could be a random topic, it could be a review, it could be something out of the... I use the phrase out of the blue, just whatever your heart's content. But Captain America from 1990 is the film for today, and yes, I do have the Blu-ray, because this is a gift from someone from long ago. And it does have interviews with Albert Pyun, another interview with the star Matt Salinger, which, I mean, it was interesting to hear a bit of that, but it's not a whole lot of in-depth stuff to it. And that's pretty much all that's on this disc for a special feature, especially for a collector's edition. It doesn't seem much like a collector's edition, but the fact that it's got anything at all, I guess, would be surprising. I also wanted to show this because this clearly shows on the back the rubber ears in the movie, if it focuses a bit. Look at those rubber ears. Yes, those are rubber ears. Focus. Why? Because apparently the star Matt Salinger, when his ears were in the hole, it was too much chafing. So I guess instead of dealing with it, instead of fixing it, just cover it and put rubber ears on it. Before I get into the film, the way this film came about was Marvel had a deal with Canon Films. And Canon Films wanted to be a big company. That was their mistake. Because here's the thing with Canon Films. These were Canon Films. Canon Films, made these type of movies. Steve James and Chuck Norris and Death Wish. But sadly what happened was they wanted bigger prospects, which is understandable to want bigger prospects for your company to grow, but just they weren't really the best guys to be capable of that. So what did they do? Again, they got with Mattel. I believe this did He-Man, right? Where's it, Mattel? Anyway, they wanted to do a He-Man movie, Masters of the Universe, Dolph Lundgren film. They wanted to do a Superman movie, Superman 4. They wanted to do Marvel movie. They wanted Spider-Man. They wanted Captain America. They're just way over their head. What made them work was films like American Ninja 1 and 2 and the Missing in Action films, the Delta Force. That was their kind of movie. That was their bread and butter. And that sadly became their downfall. I love Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. Love that film. But it bombed. People laughed at the movie. They still ridicule the movie to this day. I think it's underrated, but what did he do? It was going to be hard to sell people on an arm wrestling movie. Again, I think it's a great movie, but that's just me. Well, it's not just me. There's a few of my friends that feel the same way. And that film bombed. Superman 4, which I think sucks, that film bombed. Masters of the Universe, which I have a lot of issues with. I don't love it, but it's way better than this movie, I'll say that. That one with Dolph Lundgren is way better than this movie, but that film did not do well. Rights for that went belly up. So that's why I think at first they wanted to do a sequel, and then they kind of twisted and turned and became Cyborg with Van Damme. Marvel, that was dissipating, so there was no Spider-Man. That ultimately went to, I think, James Cameron, and then that film didn't come out, and then ultimately Sam Raimi did his Spider-Man in the early 2000s. And then Captain America, when the company was, there's talks of bankruptcy, you had Millennium Golan, and Yorm Globus, two Canon guys. And they split. They went their separate ways. Golis, Golis stayed with Canon, and you saw the dissipation of their last years where, what was that, the Street Night came out with Jeff Speakman. You also had Hellbound with Chuck Norris. The glory days have been left far behind. These films barely got theatrical, went pretty much straight to video. Bigger budgets were promised, but they didn't follow through. That's one of the things Jeff Speakman talked about, is Street Night. When he got on it was supposed to be a bigger budget, but then right as they started, a lot of the money was sucked out, so they couldn't do as much as they wanted. Still enjoy Street Night, but you tell the budget was cut. Same with Hellbound. Well, I don't know if Hellbound was promised a bigger budget, but I would not be surprised if you heard, if there was any story that it was supposed to be a bigger movie than it was. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if that came out. But I like those films for what they are. But anyway, so while they're doing that, Menem Golan went out and got this company that was already out, 21st Century Film Corporation. They had been around for a few years, released some stuff. I think they released like some Bruceploitation films, among other stuff. They were in dire straits, so Menem Golan came in, got the company. But even when he got it, they didn't really release. They did release films, but nothing that really struck gold. The few films I remember from 21st Century Film with Menem Golan in charge was this film, Phantom of the Opera, the Robert Englund film, and the very last film they did was Death Wish 5. So that was the last film they did, and then that company went belly up. So yeah, these were the dying days of Golan and Globus, even split apart. And this film, as part of the deal, Golan got the Captain America rights and was probably hopeful that this would be the film that's really sparked that company. It was a superhero movie. People know Captain America. I mean, he wasn't popular with Spider-Man and other characters, but people knew of him and knew of the costume. Maybe this would be a big moneymaker. Nope. And there was talks of, oh, we'll get Dolph Lundgren, but he did The Punisher, which thank God he did. Because, see, that's a film that, yes, it's a low-budget movie and doesn't have 100% faithfulness to the source material. But unlike Captain America, The Punisher is actually a fun, kick-ass action movie. It actually gives you what you want in terms of excitement. It gives you a big body count, a lot of cool set pieces, that the low budget was handled fairly well by the director Mark Goldblatt. Because Mark Goldblatt, he edited some of the big action films of that time. Before that, he helped edit Rambo First Blood Part 2. Hell, after that, he helped edit Terminator 2. Sadly, the only two films he did was Dead Heat and The Punisher, because I think he was a pretty decent director. But I love The Punisher. I still sincerely love that film. What the fuck do you call 127 murders in 5 years? Work in progress. Love The Punisher. My favorite Punisher film still. I like the Thomas Jane one, but Dolph Lundgren's Punisher I love. He doesn't have the skull. I don't give a shit. Wolverine has never worn his goddamn costume either. Why don't you talk about that? Has Wolverine ever wore his costume? No? Exactly. So, whoop-de-fucking-do. He wears his costume in this movie, and look how much dog shit this movie is. I know my friend Michael CP, he likes as a guilty pleasure time waster. I can't. I thought it sucked donkey balls when I saw it as a kid. I thought it rimmed Siberian rectum nowadays. Albert Pyun, there's films of his I like. The Sword and the Sorcerer. Love Cyborg. Dollman. Nemesis. I like those movies. But And rest in peace to him. He was not the most capable director, as you saw much for a good majority of his career. The Nemesis sequels, among other stuff, especially the stuff he was doing much later in life, and even films like this, he, I hate to say, he wasn't the most talented guy. There are sometimes he made it work, Nemesis and Cyborg especially. Again, I like Dollman despite some flaws in it. So I like Sword and the Sorcerer. He was not the right director for this. And yes, the lack of budget hurt it a lot. Some really strange decisions in terms of writing, which I'll get to. Having stuff like the rubber ears. Also, Matt Salinger was not the right guy for the lead role. I'm sure that they have the look of him, and it's like, okay, it seems like he looks like Captain America. Seems like he has the right look for it. But his acting, he doesn't have a lot of charisma. He doesn't have a lot of presence. And it's so weird because they had Michael Dudikoff. And I remember there's an interview where Michael Dudikoff's like, oh, stay with us, man. We'll make you into Spider-Man or Captain America or blah, blah, blah. And all these promises that were never kept. Michael Dudikoff would have been a better Captain America than Matt Salinger. I really do believe that. And just there's a reason why Matt Salinger hasn't really gone on to do a whole lot. Now, when you get into the film, it starts in Italy, 1936. This kid's family is killed. You find out that the kid will become the Red Skull. They decide to make him Italian. He fucking sounds like Bela Lugosi. Ready for Red Skull? I don't drink wine. And you can tell with the way the sets are and the backgrounds and the way this laboratory is set up that the budget was severely lacking. There's no amount of scope. There's no amount of this being a big project at all. Sometimes it did feel like a pilot for a TV show. And they have this... It's the super soldier serum. They experiment on a rat. So you get this kind of goofy look in. A little bit of stop motion rat creature. The kid gets experimented on. The female scientist doesn't like it. She escapes. She gets wounded, but she defects to the U.S. It's now 7 years later. It's 1943. They get Matt Salinger, who I guess his character has a bit of, polio or something. So he's a little bit weak. Says goodbye to his girl, his gal, Bernie. Gets a transfusion. The general there is like Michael Nuri. I think it's from the Hidden. Kind of sounded like, I don't know, Terry O'Quinn or something, but trying to do that little southern accent there. And this guy that they just have wander in, and I guess no one decided to double and triple check this guy. Says, "How Hitler?" and shoots the girl. And you can tell that Albert Pyun wanted to hide deficiencies with very quick editing. So, okay, we gotta have him break through the bars, but we don't have the money for it. So, quickly edit that he goes through this, boom, shot, punches this guy. He heals from his wounds. He's sent in. He's got the suit. And when he's going to the fortress of the Red Skull, it's just... the money just isn't there for it. Because it doesn't feel like there's much of a big battle. It feels... what Captain America does, any commando unit could have done just as easily. There's no reason to say that only Captain America could stop this. Because you find out that the plan is this missile that's going to blow things up. Why don't you just send a couple planes or a commando unit to go in? Why not send a commando unit with Captain America? I mean, there's no reason you have to send him by himself. You just send a couple other soldiers. Because the only thing Captain America comes upon is a tower that he throws a shield at. One tower. There's one guy that they probably, I don't know where they shot this, but a bunch of smoke and shit, and he hits and the guy flies back. He jumps into these barrels with a few people and smacks one or two of them. And that's it. That's all there is. Like, you could have sent 3, 4, 5, 7 guys with him. Which, I mean, yeah, it's a big budget movie, but even the new Captain America films, when they finally made them, knew that. Captain America First Avenger, he goes in, has a gun. I mean, you could have at least given him a fucking gun. And goes in with a commando unit to go take out these guys. Captain America, one of the points of Captain America is that he's a leader. To show that he's a leader, thus later on he leads the Avengers, because he's a fucking leader. So, but no, the budget couldn't afford any other commando units, so he's going in by himself. Whatever the fuck. So then there's a Red Skull. I don't mind the makeup they use. The look like a burnt up face. I don't mind it with the low budget they had and the practicality of it. I could live with it. I can't live with Captain America getting taken out like a gigantic fucking pussy. Like, to the point it's so goddamn embarrassing. And then you see up close shots of him with the rubber ears, so noticeable. Especially when you see it in HD. And again, just Red Skull makes Cap a bitch. A bitch at heat, a bitch bent over, and to take a shield up his fucking cornhole. See if it fits. And after getting his ass kicked, he's tied to a rocket, because the rocket's going to be sent to the White House. He's going on the rocket, and you have to assume this is probably in Germany, and it's probably where the fuck, it's probably a long trip to the White House. So all this time, he's on the rocket, and he decides to kick the rocket right when he's near the White House. Not, 10 minutes before, 20 minutes before, or however the fuck long he was on the rocket. He's like, oh, I see the White House. Now let me try to kick this fucking thing. And you have this kid taking pictures in this goofy effect with him on the rocket. And with the kid, just cheap ass horse shit. And then it changes direction and somehow went from DC all the way to Alaska. This rocket that he kicked and changed direction. I'm like, wow, it went from DC to fucking Alaska? Wow. And that's how he gets frozen. Then it shows all these newspapers. I found it funny because it's showing the events of the world, but it's also showing that little kid who took the picture. He would grow up to be Ronnie Cox's character, who would become president. So it's showing his elevation into that proceeding via these newspapers. But a town of Springfield is mentioned and shown. Then another newspaper comes in, and Kimball elected to Springfield City Council. Not Springfield. Springfield. They literally had a fucking newspaper, and they literally push in so the text is this big, and they misspelled Springfield. They forgot the fucking G. Well, the whole movie forgot the G, and this forgot the G as well. Like, you just had a newspaper before that showed Springfield with the G. You didn't proofread your fucking movie? So now the newspaper goes in, phew. Like, imagine a newspaper, phew, and then right there, Springfield, but it's no G. It's spelled Sprinfield. Kimball elected to Springfield City Council. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. What does the budget have to do with that? It's those kind of stupidity and mistakes that hurt this fucking film. And I'm sorry, rest in peace to Albert Pyun, but he was not the right guy for this job. He wasn't. And that complete fuck up. Like, Jesus, that's a easy thing to fix too. You're not looking at it going, oh shit, that's misspelled. And it's right, it's not even like a little word, it's like boom, right there. And it's like, well, Springfield's spelled correctly before. How the fuck did it just misspell it here? So then it's modern time. Ronnie Cox is the president. He's going to go overseas for this UN meeting. The general is played by Darren McGavin, who I remember as Kolchak, the Night Stalker. Always like to see him there, but he doesn't really have much to do. You find out he's working with the bad guys. Ronnie Cox has his reporter buddy, played by Ned Beatty from Deliverance and many other films. The Red Skull now has gotten plastic surgery, and apparently he's behind all of the assassinations. Martin Luther King, JFK. He's a businessman. He sounds like Bela Lugosi. Oh, and like the reason he has his plastic surgery is because the writer said, I don't think the audience would want to see a guy whose face was all mangled for an entire film. I guess he's never seen a Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, Freddy Krueger, burnt face. I guess he's never seen Nightmare on Elm Street, which they were more successful than your fucking movie. That's what I'm talking about. The decisions in this is so fucking stupid. And by the way his face is so scarred up, it still looks fucking. He looked better without the fucking surgery, to be honest. He definitely looked cooler. And more like the Red Skull. And yeah, they made him Italian just to have this whole thing where to feel, I guess, a little bit sorry for him because his family was gunned down. It's for the ending where they had the record of his family massacre and they use it as a distraction to just take out the bad guy. Whatever. So Captain America, he's frozen. He gets unfrozen. He breaks out. He immediately thinks they're Nazis. Why he immediately thinks that, I don't know. Because I swear you hear him going, Nazis. Because they, well, why don't you try to talk to someone? And he's in Alaska. Apparently he just ran from Alaska to Canada. That's not a walk in the park. I know he's superhuman. But, I mean, he's not the Flash. And running from Alaska to Canada is not a small fucking feat. Especially when apparently no one fucking noticed you during that run, that jog, that journey. And then the people that saw him escape, that gets to the newspapers. Ronnie Cox, like, he recognizes the guy. That's the guy that took the picture back in the day. Tells his buddy Ned Beatty, who goes to try to find him. And apparently, somehow, some fucking way, Ned Beatty and the Red Skull's daughter, because now he has a daughter, think a friend of mine, I think Mike even mentioned this. Like, he's got a daughter. Wouldn't she somehow be affected by the serum? Because if Red Skull has his super soldier serum and he makes a baby, wouldn't that have some kind of transference? Apparently not. Unless she's adopted. It never really goes into that. He just has a daughter. Somehow she knows exactly where the fuck Captain America is, and somehow Ned Beatty knows where the fuck he is, and they somehow find him at the same fucking time. Okay, Captain America has no tracker, from what I understood. He has no signature. How the fuck, from Alaska to, you think he's coming to the U.S., are you going to find him in the right spot, in the right time, in the right location, in Canada? How? They make it seem as if from Alaska to U.S. is like a 10-mile radius, like Tom Lee Jones in The Fugitive. Check every hen house, whorehouse, fish fillet, fucking Popeyes. Check out everything in a 10-mile radius. Every doghouse, every church's chicken. Check everything out. No, it's a lot of fucking distance, a lot of fucking area. How the fuck do both of you motherfuckers find this fucking guy at this right fucking time, this right fucking moment? I'm not a fucking idiot movie. Shit. Hey, you know what you could have done? You could have had it where he's in a town and there's some horrible thing happening and he saves them. And then a family, hey, stay with us for a bit. They hear about it. Then they go to that town and they look around. And that's where Captain America's resting and he comes out. And then they find him. At least that would explain a little bit better than just him wandering around the fucking woods. That no one has seen him. No one would know where he's at. And back as the helicopter just happened to know where he's at. Ned Beatty driving a car just happens to know where he's at. Fucking lazy shit. So Ned Beatty gets him a car, and he sees that Ned Beatty's driving a West German car and has something made in Japan. So he thinks, even though Ned Beatty's like telling him all this information, and you would think Cap be like, okay, let's see where this guy's going. I could take Ned Beatty. I'm a super soldier. He fates puking, fates being sick, so Ned Beatty could come out, and then he steals Ned Beatty's car. Now he does this once, he does this twice, where he fates being sick. That's his power move, Captain America in this movie. His power move is to fate menopause, fate being sick, and then steal your fucking car. Captain America, folks. Stealing cars for the American working man. Because that's what he is, and that's what's he about. Once in a blue moon, you get some fun usage out of the shield. But very few and far in between. I count one hand how many times the shield gets used. He throws it at the tower. In the woods, there's like 3 people on motorcycles chasing him, but he only attacks one. So I don't know what happened to the other motorcycle people. Because he throws a shield and it hits someone in the helmet. You think that kind of shield and throwing it that much would actually, I don't know, crack that fucking helmet. But because there are times other people throw the shield, it gets embedded in the ground. But whatever. And yeah, during that motorcycle scene, there were like 2 other people on motorcycles. What happened to those other 2? I guess they disappeared into the woods. Maybe the Evil Dead got them. He goes home, finds that things have changed. Finds his birdie is old as fuck, married to someone else, and has a daughter. Ned Beatty arrives, and then just to spoiler, just to get killed in 10 seconds after arriving. Birdie just killed the other guy, stepdad. Well, the Birdie's husband gets shot. Did get some info. They looked into it. Captain America fates being sick again to just steal her car, the daughter's car. And you just get some really lame set pieces. A bit in the dark in this hidden area where he's got to fight guys with a trash can lid. And it didn't feel like there was a whole lot in terms of scope or choreography or excitement or energy. A bit where he's being chased and he throws a shield at someone at the bottom wheel of the motorcycle and it flips a bit. Once in a while you see a little bit of gymnastics where he's running and he jumps over a car and gives a punch. It's like the bare fucking minimum. And even the finale where they gotta, as I'm spitting, you gotta get Ronnie Cox's character. Because they don't want to kill Ronnie Cox, they want to control his brain. And the area they're in, it just seems like there's not much in terms of background to give a sense of scope. Captain America punches a few people, blocks some bullets. Ronnie Cox, action hero. Yet the president himself getting in on the action. I guess before Harrison Ford, Air Force One, there was Ronnie Cox. Mr. President. I mean, yeah, the fucking president has to help your sorry ass, Cap. You don't get a lot of good fight choreography or very crazy fun set pieces. It's a very boring. I also find it funny that Ronnie Cox is like, they got Sharon. I'm like, do you know who Sharon is? That's the daughter character, the one who's with Cap. But does Ronnie Cox know who the fuck this Sharon lady is? So I find it funny. He's like, where they got Sharon? I'm like, how the fuck do you even know who that lady is? Instead of going, they have this lady, Sharon. Sharon? Oh, that's her name? But yeah, it's like Ronnie Cox's character looked at the script, and that's how he knew who she was. Even the whole finale, like, he has a few punches on the Red Skull, a few punches, plays this tape recording, Red Skull gets into a trance. Then finally, Cap throws a shield, knocks Bela Lugosi off the cliff. The shield comes back, heads up, hits the daughter. And then when he grabs it, he like looks at the camera and then leaves. As in, yeah, I know this is a bullshit finale, but what are you gonna do? It's just, it's just cheap, lackluster. If you're all a fucking fan of the character, you would go, I've seen TV shows do more shit than this. This is fucking ridiculous. I know I have, or at least TV movies. The Incredible Hulk, the one with fucking Thor, felt like there was more shit going on than this movie. Even the music, like the songs suck. Like yeah, the song that's used at the end credits. I can't remember what the fuck it was called. It was so shitty. At least get a good song for your finale, for your end credits. I can't remember the fucking song. Can you remember the fucking song? Just cheaped out. Ronnie Cox does the best he can with his role. Matt Salinger does not have a lot of charisma. He doesn't have a lot of presence. There's a reason why he wasn't a big star. There's That's just the fact. There's a reason why he wasn't a guy that you're like, who the fuck is that? Exactly. He didn't have much. He wasn't that good of an actor. So you're not even, okay, I'm watching this guy and I'm having fun with his role or his character. Dialogue is completely lackluster. What was that line? Let's see if your heart is as powerful as my hate, or whatever the fuck Red Skull says to him at the end of the film. I'm like, Red Skull, you beat the shit out of him and whipped his ass, his candy ass at the beginning of the film. It's not like you guys have this bit, and then again looking like fucking Scarface. Hello there. Welcome to my cellar. I want to drink your blood. Just no thought process into the script, the characters. Bad choice for lead actor. No action scenes worth a shit. Punisher has damn good action scenes. This doesn't. And that film had a low budget as well. You think American Ninja films had big budgets? They have some pretty good action scenes. They didn't have the biggest of fucking budgets. This had what, 10 million? Doesn't look like there's 10 million in here. You know where the fuck that 10 million went to. I don't know what else to say. I'm just... I hate... There's nothing... Other than Ronnie Cox doing the best he can as the president, there's nothing good I can say about this fucking movie. It's a piece of shit. It's one of the worst of its kind. I'd rather watch Batman and Robin over this, because at least Batman and Robin, and I don't like that film either. That film sucks. That film, at least as superficial as it is, has set pieces of eye candy to watch. Which I know is not fair, because that had, like, what, $100 million budget or something? But at least there's something to look at, shiny teas. This doesn't have nothing. It has a bunch of spit and rust. And shit. That's why it pissed me off when The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren is grouped together. I'm like, no. The Punisher is nothing like this. The Punisher is worth the shit. This ain't shit. Just don't watch the Chris Evans Captain America movies, which is actually a fun trilogy. I would call that... I would honestly say the Chris Evans Captain America trilogy is... They're the best MCU films. From 2008 to now, the best Marvel films have been Chris Evans' Captain America movies. Again, from 2008 to now. Just go watch those, because those were done much better. To the point you don't have to see this fucking movie. Albert Pyun has done better. Again, Cyborg. That's a low budget film, but that had Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, yes, his acting will get better. But it's like they knew he's a man of few words. He might not have been the best actor at that time, but he had screen presence, which can do a lot of wonders. And he had that look and screen presence, and he knew how to handle action scenes, and that used his low budget fairly well. Trying to make it look like a wasteland. Those have set, even non-action set pieces, like the whole being crucified, and the way the anger and frustration of kicking off that damn thing. Vanda! And that film was saved because Van Damme and Sheldon Lettich took the film, re-edited it, filmed some additional fight scenes, especially at the end, and they saved that movie. So, a lot of that credit goes to Van Damme and Sheldon Lettich. Anyway, I can't believe this is like 40 minutes long. I should not have went this fucking long, but anyway, it's Captain America. Fuck this piece of shit. Later.